Hello, I'm Don Cooley, and this is the second episode of the Crusader Kings 3 versus Crusader Kings 2 stream. Just looking at what's been happening in the Paradox Interactive Crusader 3 streams on Twitch and YouTube, their YouTube channel. And this is just going to look at what's been happening over there compared to how things worked in Crusader Kings 2. The big thing I think that came out of the streams that was last week is the Heresies of Religions. In my first video, there was a heresy uprising up in this duchy, and you can see that these two counties have been flipped to Cathar down here. It's a Catholic heresy. It's got a lot of different little quirks, mostly that women can hold consular positions and women may lead armies. In the stream on Paradoxes, you could see that there was a Cathar uprising up here in Flanders. Not only did it notify you that that had happened, but even though the duchy, the Duke flipped back to Catholic, I think quite quickly, the counties themselves continued to spread. So it's quite interesting that Cathar and other heresies won't just be restricted to only flowing along with the holders of the counties or the titles. It seems like it'll be able to sort of spread without that. It reminds me a lot of the EU4 model, sort of where they have religions, with their Reformation, they have these centres of worship and that really sort of make people convert quicker. So I think it could be interesting to see if this spreads, if there's no real movement by the ruler themselves to try and convert them back. You can see in the Councillor tab here in CK2 that I currently have my court chaplain to proselytize in my realm. I wonder if you aren't actively doing that in CK3. Possibly you could see heresies spreading through counties, because whenever it says Cathar down here, this obviously doesn't mean that the owner of this title is Cathar. This guy is still Christian. But what it's meant to reflect is that the population of this county mostly follow the Cathar religion. That is the predominant religion in this county. So it could spread like that in CK3, that this county, because Cathar had taken hold here, that it would start to be spread out without any real action by the ruler. I mean, that's pretty rare in CK2. You're not really going to see that. So that might be a big difference of how something like that works in terms of heresies and religion. Now, one of the things I wanted to do with this character was, I think, to take this county. He is currently defending in a war against Belgium, but he himself is not the actual controller. And I think the best way to do this is probably for a border dispute, so that we're not pulling this guy in, or this guy, although this guy is in another war at the minute. And it does seem like it's a war that's just begun. I don't really see him winning that war. He's pulled France into it. But one of the other interesting things that has come out from the stream is that we've seen in the second Paradox stream, we've seen them declare war. So we got a little bit of a look at the Casus Bellis. And one of the Casus Bellis that we've seen was a holy war for a county. In CK2, you can only do holy wars for duchies. That's above. Anything for a kingdom would be more of a great holy war or crusade. But they had holy wars for counties. Now, I think that's interesting because, I mean, it's a lot easier to take a county than it is to take a duchy. If I have to take a county, I have to take all of the territory. So if we're going for Belgium, it has to take these four counties in order to start getting a ticking war score. If you're going for a holy war just for one single county, as soon as you occupy that county, you're therefore starting to get a ticking war score. And I think that's a big deal. I think in terms of these border disputes, I don't see that in the Casus Belli, at least at the start. However, some of the Casus Belli, and I know this from the dev diaries, some of the Casus Bellis are unlocked through lifestyle trees. So you have to get to a certain place, pick up a certain perk, and then it will give you certain Casus Bellis that character can then use. Such as, I think one I saw was the Dejure claims for entire duchies. So right now, if I have a Dejure claim on a place, I can do the Dejure and tick that county. But I can only take that one county with a Dejure. Usually doing a higher Dejure requires you to spend prestige, which would be 500. Prestige is gone. They've got renown, which you will cost and stuff to do things. But in order to even do a Dejure for multiple counties within a duchy, you will need to unlock it through perks, through the lifestyle tree. I'm a little bit in two minds about that, to be honest. I think it's interesting. It'll certainly make the game each playthrough different, because you won't just be able to instantly go for that, and it'll be a question of, okay, do I pick a lifestyle focus that's going to help me take certain territory, or should I do what's best for my character because maybe I have low learning or I have low intrigue. Right now, whenever you're taking a lifestyle, it's usually just to boost either your highest or lowest, whatever you need. So if you have low stewardship and your counties are failing and you need a little boost of that, you would generally pick stewardship. You don't pick rulership, because rulership ends in death. You just have to figure out where you're going with your character, with your lifestyle traits. But it's also just, it's only for that one character. So if I unlock that, then the next character, his heir, can't necessarily just do those same things. He has to take the lifestyle trait. He has to unlock it all over again. I'm not sure about that, because that feels a little bit like, okay, I'm not getting the same benefits out of it. To always having to do that. If I want to do counties, it feels like I'm maybe just going to end up doing the same lifestyle trees repeatedly just to get the same benefits, if I know that that's a benefit I'm going to be needing. So it doesn't necessarily help with the roleplay factor. But again, it's something I think we'll have to see in effect and in practice, because right now I'm only going off the stream over in Paradox. Yeah. So I'm going to tick this county. It's interesting as well with the Dejure that I'm talking about. There's a new concept in Crusader Kings 3 that isn't present here in Crusader Kings 2 of the rightful ruler or rightful liege. So if I tick this county, I don't actually own the de jure, which would be this duchy of Cordoba. So this guy is going to hate me anyway, because he's got a lot of stuff. He's got infidel, at war, declared war. Whenever I tick this, he's got content actually, so that might help a little bit. But he is not going to like me in Crusader Kings 3 because I am not his de jure liege. His de jure liege would be this Duke of Cordoba or the King of Andalusia. It's not me. In no way is it me. So he is going to have a opinion penalty towards me for the fact that I am liege over his territory, but have no rightful claim to it. So it's an incentive to go after de jure territory, to ensure that, okay, you're always in control of the de jure in terms of duchies and kingdoms. It's get your de jure territory, and if you take a county that's outside of your de jure territory, you're going to want to keep going after like that de jure territory. It should, I feel, hopefully, I mean, we always say hopefully with these things because nothing ever really seems to like necessarily play out the way you expect it to sometimes, especially in Crusader Kings. So I think that the way it should play out is that the AI should go after individual counties less. And if it does go after individual counties, you would expect it to then see a continued campaign to take the rest of the territory in that de jure, so that they can. But it will also work if they have territories that are outside of their de jure, that they will be getting opinion penalties, and then saying that will make that realm harder to control. So yeah, it should make for more interesting ways of realm control, especially for the AI, where you would sometimes see the AI just being really, really stable, especially in Muslim countries. Not so much here in Iberia in this start. In some of the earlier starts, you can see it in Iberia. I mean, the Seljuks, I mean, unless you can really see, I mean, they're decadent, really decadent at the minute, actually. But yeah, in some of the earlier starts, these guys just, they never see a decadent revolt. They are always in control. You wonder how they do it, but it's just, yeah, there's just nothing really to sort of force them to maintain their territory. They can just kind of do it through sheer authority, with their realm levies and putting everything into powerful dukes, and then they just there's nothing to stop them from kind of growing and growing. There should be, but there's not really. And this is what these kind of mechanics, I think, are trying to do, is to create a situation where the AI kind of has to do some maintenance of their own territories in order to control them. And there's going to be more opinion penalties from these kind of things. So the war's coming along, 45%. He's rolling about, trying to find something he can siege. This will be different. I talked a little bit about this in the first episode, where we've seen the stream and we've seen more wars in the second stream, so we've got to see a little bit more of this, of how you can't. It's more difficult to just like barge into your territory of your opponent and siege anything you want down. But this won't really be affected what I'm doing right now because he's right on the border of my territory. I wouldn't really see as much of an opinion or attrition effect to my armies or morale. Battles are going to work differently anyway on a big scale, because we're going to see more of a kind of thing called advantage. So this place is plains, and it's mild winter. Current winter is mild. Even if I fought him, I have a massive advantage. But the troops, yeah, it's mostly heavy infantry and light cavalry and some special units. So I think even if I was doing this in CK3, I would have a pretty hefty advantage here. But it would depend how probably I would attack and such as to how that would really affect me going into war. New concepts such as knights would affect my advantage, I think, or might offset my advantage, or offset his advantage. There's just a lot of new concepts in CK3 which just don't really have an analogue here in CK2. They say the closest thing to knights are these like commanders. I'm not really sure that's true. I mean, a good commander is great. A good commander can sometimes win a battle or win a really tight contest, but the way that I've seen knights used in CK3 in the streams, they've been said to they can take on like 100 men. I mean, probably not exactly. I mean, if you have one knight running up against 100 men, the 100 men are probably going to win. But the knights are that powerful. A commander is not going to take out 100 men. A commander's only really as good as the columns that they're commanding. So I'm not really sure how true the comparison between commanders and knights are. I just don't see it. I think knights are a lot different, really. I mean, they're similar in the sense that they have names and they're actual people, but their combat ability, I think, is much, much different. And I think you'll be using them a lot differently than you would use commanders. Okay, if I take this mosque, probably we need to take a couple mosques. It'll probably go up to 80%, maybe 90%, but yeah. We also seen in the CK3 stream that the Holy Roman Empire was still pretty decentralized, and that meant that a lot of this central part here had actually been split into the actual duchies. For whatever reason, I mean, we haven't actually seen a playthrough inside of the Holy Roman Empire, so I think that that's maybe something that they're waiting to let players experience for themselves. And it'll be interesting to see how exactly that works. I talked about this a little bit in the first stream, in my first video about the first stream, which I think if it's going to be decentralized, because they in the second stream on last Wednesday, they mentioned that the power of the Holy Roman Empire at that point, with this central region decentralized, was pretty much on par with France. If you look at France right now, they have about 5k men. They could go higher. I mean, their vassal levies are drained. That should, instead of 3,000, it should be close to 6. So, I mean, top levy, they maybe have about 7, 8. Currently, the Holy Roman Empire has 22. Yeah, and they could go up another 500 men. Oh, who died? Let's see. My cousin. Oh, the little girl who was ruling Castile. Did she die? And her sister took over. Interesting. That is a matrilineal marriage. Okay, great. Fine. Yeah, so I think the Holy Roman Empire could work much, much differently if at the beginning their power level is pretty much parallel to France. That is going to make things a lot more dicey. And it means obviously that ruling the Holy Roman Empire seems like it's going to be a much more internal politics. I know they tried to do that in CK2 when they tried to replicate the electors and such, but it's still not necessarily terribly difficult, I think, because you can just bribe people I think you can do that in CK3 though as well. You can't exactly bribe people with hooks. We've seen that that's another thing you have to get a perk for, to actually bribe people with hooks to get money out of it. But what you can do is just get a hook and then just blackmail them and be like, okay, no, you have to do what I say or I'm going to expose this hook. But I think it'll work slightly different. You obviously have to be looking for the hooks, and you have to be looking for it. And if they have a hook on you, how does that affect the electorship? I'm guessing that they can't force you to vote against someone, because that might be a little bit too powerful to sort of force you out. But it also might be interesting because it would force you to have to think about your playthrough, that if you're getting too many secrets and amassing too many hooks, as the head of the Holy Roman Empire, you might then see that your realm is kind of falling apart just because, well, you didn't keep it in your pants, or you've been going around murdering people, or, whatever. Whatever your poison is, and that'll be your downfall. I think that could be a really interesting way that they could play it. That could really change how you would play the Holy Roman Empire, that you might actually try to have to be holy. Yeah. But again, it's one of those things I think we'll have to wait and see. I'm not sure if they'll talk about it in the stream or if they'll go into it. I would like to see them go into it. I would like to hear more about it. But I think it might be something they will wait and tell us whenever the time comes, or show us when the time comes closer to it actually coming out. And maybe in a dev diary, or maybe it'll just be, I think it's much more likely they're just going to leave it and let us find out for ourselves. And I'm happy with that, yeah. I don't mind waiting and finding out for myself exactly how some of this stuff is going to work. What's this county called? Cordoba. Yes, that's the one I want to give. You can take that. Okay. Yeah. Are you fighting? Oh, they were from that. Oh, you're up against the Shia again. Put the speed up a little bit. This is actually another big change I think that's going to come in. I think it's going to be a big change. It's definitely a change that's coming. I think it's going to be big. That you can't just, you see the buildings you can build here in your county. You can build all of these. There's no limit to any one that you can build. I can build any of these in any of my counties. The county that I own, I can build these. I mean, I can actually even build buildings in my vassals' counties. It's a little bit pointless because it doesn't obviously directly affect you. But, well, if I wanted to build one of these and get more money for my bishop, he would then pay more money to me, but only if he likes me, and only if he does not want to pay it to the Pope, which is a little bit difficult. But you can see most of these people prefer the Pope over me quite a bit, but he does get a big boost from Head of Religion and from the theology focus. So in CK3, you're going to have a limited building slot. There's 3 per county and 1 duchy building. That's going to be a big deal because you now have to be selective. You can't just, if you want, you can go all money and focus on things like, I think there's pastoral lands and hill farms things like that, which were expected to really change how much money you were making. I don't think they changed troop count much. Maybe a little bit of archers, maybe some light infantry. I'm not sure. I think it was mostly money. But you have to be selective now. You can't just, if you want okay. If you want a balanced county of money and men, you now have to be selective. You have to think about, okay, what am I building? Am I going to go for pure money? Am I going to go for a mixture? Am I going to go for pure military? That is going to be something that is going to change how you play. And you've got the duchy building, which will give a benefit now to your entire duchy. So that is the change. You don't have buildings that... The best you can do is either great works, or you can do... you've got your training grounds, your Calabello training grounds, which will give benefits to your retinue, which is effective across your entire nation. But it's not... There's no building that you build that is going to change, that is going to affect every single county in this duchy. But in CK3 there is. And that's going to be a change. That you can now build duchy buildings, and you have a limited slots for your buildings. You now have to pick and choose what you want from your counties and from your domain. You are going to continue to be a thorn in my side, aren't you? But your duchies will get split upon your death. Finally, an end to the farce. So, yeah. Oh, I can take this again, yeah. Yeah, let's see. Who would I give it to if I do take usurp that? You or you? Sure, why not? None of these people. You're my steward. You're a pretty poor steward. But yeah, I think maybe if I usurp this and then give it to my steward. And now I have to bestow my cupbearer, give out my commander titles. So another change that's coming that I think is going to really change the way that wars work is with mercenaries. Right now, you can go down here into your military tab, and you can see your mercenaries, how much they cost, and how many men you're getting. You can see how much it's going to cost, and this is a monthly cost. So whenever you hire these guys, you pay 450 up front, and then you pay 40.49 each month, and that will go very, very quickly. Now in CK3, what changes is that they still have an upfront cost, but you no longer pay for them monthly. You pay for 3 years upfront. So I think they wouldn't cost 450. They would cost but the monthly cost obviously here is only for a month, so that's 40. You would have to do that by 12, and then that again by 3, and that might give you what you would be paying for them over the 3 years. But that is going to be, they aren't going to go away if you go into debt. So it doesn't matter how much money you spend, you can go into debt when you pay them. And you'll go into debt when you pay them, and then if you continue to go into debt after you pay them, they will no longer turn on you. At the minute in CK3, if you go into debt with your mercenaries, they will either jump to our side, or they will attack you. Sometimes they will attack for land. They will. I don't really know what the actual war is called. It's not a revolt or against tyranny, or it's just a war. I can't remember the name of it, but they will do that war, and they will basically, if they can take land, they will then take that as a kind of payment. So yeah, that's a lot different, because you can now go into debt with your mercenaries, and after those 3 years, then those mercenaries will ask OTA, do you want to pay again? And you can say yes. I mean, I don't know if there's at any point if you go too far into debt. Again, it's reminding me of EU4. In EU4, you can go into debt with your mercenaries, with your men, whatever. You can go into debt. And what happens when you go into debt is that you then start to incur loans. I don't think that we've seen anything similar in CK3 to the loan system in EU4. Not yet, anyway. I don't think I've read anything about something like that. But it would be interesting, I think, if there's no loan system, what is to stop you from just endlessly going into debt? I mean, you get a disadvantage when you go into debt, but if it's just a military disadvantage, but you can sway that advantage with knights or by troop count, by sheer numbers, I don't really see what's going to hurt about going into debt. And I think that might be a problem. I think there should be weights and balances. I think there should be something more negative about going into debt than just, okay, now you're at a slight disadvantage. I mean, you would hope that you're only buying mercenaries at a time whenever you were in a very, very tight war. So maybe the disadvantage in that situation would matter. But yeah, I think it's something we're going to have to see in the game, how it works out. At the minute, I'm a little bit wary about how they've changed that you can now go into debt with mercenaries. Because I thought going into debt with mercenaries and then the mercenaries like leaving whenever you could no longer pay them was a pretty fine way of doing it. I thought it like balanced it quite well. Oh, this guy's got a Catholic uprising. Some sort of heresy as well. Great. Let's see. For some reason, I didn't actually get a lot of traits from my childhood. Well, since he's a poet, let's go with diplomacy. And you, I think, shall be my guardian. Yep. So this realm's pretty stable. I think you just need to keep attacking people. But I have truce with that guy. I might have truce with this guy too. Nope, no truce. But yeah. He's in a war to revoke somewhere. How many men do you have? 4? He is kind of decadent. I would like to see him split up. That would make things easier. Yeah. I just have about enough men, I think. Because, yeah, I can see him hiring someone. And I definitely don't want to go into a holy war. He does have that guy in a non-aggressive pact. I do wonder if he might end up getting an alliance out of that. I couldn't take both of them. Strike at this guy while he's... Yes, investigate. Again, Holy War seems like a bad idea. How's this Holy War going? Yeah, it's called to couple people in. $100 gold, 100 piety, and Sunni religion in my realm hate me. Oh well. Yeah. Do I dislike this person? He's a commander. I don't think this matters. Neither of you guys are important. Let's see, who's a warlock? Random infirm guy. A commander. Or someone unfaithful. Yep, that seems about right. Now I need a new courtier. The guy with a little bit of learning. There's a Reconquest War going on. Who are you fighting against? In Barcelona. You haven't started a war yet, though. What is it with this guy that everyone hates? Is it just because he's possessed? Everyone keeps saying that he must be like a witch. Yeah. I'm still just a poet, and I've been baptized. I'm not getting a lot of traits, for some reason. Although I am only 13. Still, 3 years. Pick up some. And my regent has changed. Let's see, court physician. It's court chaplain, sorry. I think I've lost the claim on... Oh no, I still have the claim on Castile. We're pretty evenly matched though. Haha, have my marshal imprisoned as a witch. Sure, that looks like fun. I think you could go with legalism here and basically move towards legalism 4 or 5 and then get the higher tax and levy focused obligations. But I think Majesty is slightly better because you can get better opinion with prestige, and I don't really need the levy improvements yet because the obligations are still right down the centre. So it's going to be a while before I would be near levy focused noble obligations, or in the other way, I would still have a couple of these to go, which would take a couple of others anyway. So yeah, I'm not seeing it as a major concern just yet. Screams of them when they burn. Yeah, I should maybe holy war this guy next. I don't think there's a lot of Zucchini, Zakiri, sorry, uh, religions out there. So it doesn't seem like it. I did see Castile moving there. Who are you against? She is fighting Navarra for a claim on this land. I do need to be careful. This guy has come into another war with the guy I'm fighting. Oh dear. Yeah, see, I think that's the kind of thing that will be less likely in CK3. This guy has kind of went around my armies up here to siege my capital. He's so far away from his own territory. If he was up here, away from his own territory, he would be getting hit with a lot more attrition. Instead, he's up here, he's trying to siege this down. It's like, okay. And he will siege this down. I mean, I could take both these armies, I could go get some mercenaries. I have quite a lot of money, I have nearly 1,000. I could definitely buy some mercenaries, enough to even out that 6. But he's going to leave that. He's going to leave that soon enough. He's not going to stay up there. And I don't think, yeah. I mean, the main reason to stop him from really doing that would be because it's going to affect my tax from I get from that county. But I'm not that worried yet. Yeah, I think we let him siege this stuff down and wear himself out a little bit. This will only affect his troop count. And if he loses this Reconquest War, which I don't actually think he will, yeah, he's got a big number based on her. These troop guys will leave and I'll be fine. And they did say in the CK3 stream that your enemies will seek out defensive positions. So this place is plains. It seems like it's more likely that they would then see he's now sieging down a place with plains. Here have hills, plains. Maybe I should just hire some mercenaries. Let's see. I always prefer to go with the ones I don't like a lot of light infantry in my mercenaries. I think they're just a bit useless. I just unless you're really sieging or assaulting, I don't necessarily see a lot of benefit to them. So currently I'm losing 21 ducats a month. If I were to, there's actually a pretty good little notification in your military tab in CK3, which will show you whenever you have your armies raised. It's going to show you how much money that's going to cost, and it's going to show you how many years you can run with your military. Whoa. Sigh. Yeah, he came and he chased down all my armies with this 16 stack. I mean, I bet he thinks that's me out of the game, but he can. He's not that stuff down if he wants. This is really why it's just not really advantageous to get too worried about, oh, if you lose a battle or something like that, because again, once this battle happens here, the massive stack that is supporting him, which is like 7,000, will go away. Meanwhile, I can hang out here and reinforce. Yeah, I'm only losing 12 now a month, so I can hang out here a little bit, I think. If that does reach minus 100, I will be forced to surrender. All I really need to do is hold out long enough. For them to beat this Reconquest War. But for some reason he seems much more focused on beating me. I don't know, it's because if I have the higher war score against him, but it seems a little silly. Should maybe go beat that guy. Oh, look. Yeah, I should have got married at some point. Let's see. How short is... Oh, there's a Princess of Aragon I just seen. 13. Yep. Just wait a couple years. Let's see, let's create a treasury. Yep, his military is quite weak, so I think we need to boost that up a little bit. Yeah, we'll wait until this battle's finished to... That Princess of Aragon doesn't look like she's going to be a princess for very long. Yeah, whatever. Hmm. I may be losing this war. Where did you go? Castilian. Are you just... Oh, you're sieging something down here, maybe? Are you just hanging out here? Why? Okay. I don't generally like assaulting, but I need to get that war score down. Now it's really a matter of keeping an eye on their movements. Yep, see. Being careful, just staying out of their way. Yeah, he seeds that down. Ah, need to get this down again. Yep. This is not going to go well. I really do not know why he's so focused on me rather than this Reconquest War. Probably seems like a smart move just go to beat that down. But maybe the AI is actually smart enough to know that he's going to lose all those troops. Wow, that's the best military person I have to teach you. Oh, great. This is not great. Not great. Not great at all. I think he can enforce demands. I don't think there's anything I can do to stop him. Yep. And he's now going to just come and fight my army anyway. Yep. There we go. He enforced the demand. Disappointing. And that gave him how much money? He got like 600 off me. Ah. Yeah, I should have waited for more money to do this. Well, it's fine. I'll be back. Yep, and there's the Reconquest. Done. Where is this Barney? Oh. It's all the way over there in Castile. Yeah, so I think I'm going to take a break now. I will be back to talk a bit more CK3 versus CK2 stuff, and to hopefully beat out some of these Muslims. Zakiri, I want to holy war this guy, and I will be back to avenge my loss against this guy. So thanks for listening. Bye.